Welcome back to the Midday Q&A. I'm your host, the Duckman. Back today with my 1956 Beetle, also known as Eleanor. And if you probably remember, we were doing some hinge work on here to completely replace those stock hinges that stuck out, which I always thought were kind of ugly. And you guys won. You totally won. You told me it was impossible. And after starting to put this stuff together, it's proven that you guys were right. This stuff just isn't going to work, so I completely undid it. I put the stock hinges back together. And as you can see, the door is just factory the way it was before. So I completely undid it. It was a bad idea. And I'm really sorry for even, making you guys think that, something completely custom that everybody said was impossible that the Duckman could make work. I failed, and I'm really sorry. What you're seeing behind me here is the stock hinges. The stock hinges are still currently mounted, and the reason why I've left these on is because this is currently keeping my door aligned to the proper position. I need to put the rest of the screws in it because it's a little floppy without all the screws in, but that's another problem. When it's actually closed, everything is properly aligned. Ow, that's my ankle. Inside, if I pop this open, you can see the hinges in place right here. And when the door is closed, it actually does clear them. It's kind of funny that happens, but this has given me the ability to draw some lines right here to where that hinge needs to go into the door. This was really important. I didn't want to eyeball it. I didn't want to just, wing that one. I wanted it to be straight. I want to do this once, and I want to do it right. So I'm playing with that currently. I need to come up with the proper solution as to how to make that work. There's no way really to do it other than to put my own eyes and hands into here using the tools that I've got, and we'll make it work. You guys can give me suggestions on this stuff, but unless you've truly done this kind of work before and you have worked in this area, and so far it's been nobody, because if you Google hidden hinges on a Beetle, there's virtually nothing out there. The only thing I found was somebody who installed some Reliant Robin hinges, and those are probably a good idea if you can get some. I believe that car has been discontinued for about 20 years, and since they're British cars built in the UK and never made it to America, the parts don't exist over here. So I'm not even going to bother trying to look for them. I tried to find them on eBay UK, and let's just say they were expensive, and they were really hard to get a complete set of 4. So I'm not going down that road. Instead, I went the hot rod approach. These are hinges that you would find on typical street rods, street rod, hot rod type stuff, where they're falling in the door. I definitely need to get a couple tacks on there and get that started. But one of the concerns that people had is this door going to clear the A-pillar right here? Now you notice there's a, let me adjust the camera a little bit better so you can see. You see right here on the A-pillar, there's a drip gutter. The drip gutter actually is going to really look kind of funny once this car is so streamlined, and I've seen other cars that have had shaved hinges before. The drip gutter is going to go away. So that is going to recover almost entirely a ½ inch of clearance here. So I'm probably going to clip it up here. I might even put a little curve on it a little bit, so that way any of the rain that comes down here will be thrust forward and it'll throw it off this way rather than allowing it to get backwards into the door. This car probably won't be driven a whole lot in the rain anyway. But when the door opens, the fulcrum isn't going to be here. The fulcrum is back here. So when the door pivots, the door is actually going to come forward. Instead of just opening straight up, it's actually going to pop over to here. So the door will probably be in this location. You see how the A-pillar is actually still exposed. But the door, and I guess that might even be called a reveal, I don't know. I usually hear that in construction, not so much in automotive. But once the door is open, it'll actually be way over here somewhere. So I do have a little bit of a concern of it getting close to the fender or possibly hitting the fender. So I'm going to have to play with that a little bit and see how that turns out. The door, of course, will not be opening a full 90 degrees. If I put a check strap on it, it'll probably open, I don't know, 60, 70 degrees. I'll take a measurement on a stock Beetle and find out how much exactly they open to. But the good news is that when the door moves out of position like this, to where it's at now, and it moves that much further forward, it's actually going to be easier to get in and out of the car because it'll give you that much more space, because the door is moving away from the car rather than sitting still in the door pocket where it's at right now. So, yeah. Something to think about, something to think about. That's where I'm at on that. I have done a little bit of calculation on this stuff, and I have been keeping my notes and measurements and the whole works. One of the biggest concerns right here, as I said, is that A-pillar. And let me show you on the other side why exactly that would be a concern. Now, I don't know how well the camera can see it. Well, maybe you can. The door or the side of the Beetle is not straight up and down. It's not. It's bowed. It bows outwards. One of the hinges is here. Well, it's actually right about here. And the other hinge is here. So this part that bows out is going to be the closest place where the door might drag on the A-pillar. So this is going to be the concern. But as I said, if I'm removing this gutter and everything else, I don't think that's going to be an issue. I will be, fudging with the hinges a little bit to get them exactly where I want them. And at this point, they haven't been welded in yet anyway. So there's a lot of adjustment that I have here and a lot I can play with. At least one person told me that these stock hinges that are on here is what makes a Beetle a vintage Beetle, and that shaving those off, it's going to look like a new Beetle. And that what I'm doing is completely foolish, and I probably shouldn't do it all. But that's probably somebody that hasn't been watching any of my videos before, because if I have to explain that this car is not stock, I mean, what's stock about this super wide fendered chop top Beetle? And I can't put, shaved door hinges on it? Why? Why can't I do that? I don't understand it. Why is it wrong for me to shave the hinges off of this car? I don't understand that. I mean, I chopped the whole car. I built this car from junk. I really don't think I have to explain my motives on it beyond that. I would not have taken a car out of circulation, something that was in decent shape, and started doing a roof chop on. And I've had a lot of opportunities with other cars that I wanted to do that with. In fact, the 73 was one such candidate, as well as my 65. My 65 was in worse shape than the 73 was, but neither one of those I could bring myself to cutting. I could not bring myself to cutting them. They were just in too good a shape. They didn't have that much rust on them. Eleanor, on the other hand, you remember she split in the middle. Now, I can't believe I actually explained this again. For those of you that don't know, Eleanor was a car that was under 6 feet of seawater, and I mean, I explain this every time. I've beaten it with a dead horse. I don't even tell the story anymore, but it just proves that I have to continue telling the story, because this car was under 6 feet of seawater for about 2 days during Hurricane Ivan back in 2004. So as a result, when this car got out of the flood and it was left to sit for following almost 10 years after that, it rusted to hell, not only from the salt intrusion, but from the fact that it was just left out sitting in the weather. So what happens is she collapsed and she broke in the middle. So I've done the best that I can to put this car back together. I knew it wasn't going to be stock. I knew I'd never get it straight. So I built a custom. I built the custom that I always wanted. And as I said, I did not take a Beetle out of circulation. I did not cut up a good car. I made a car. I made a car from junk. Parts that nobody else would have wanted to use, because the thing was Swiss cheese. And it wasn't even full pieces of Swiss cheese. It was broken pieces of Swiss cheese. And I'm not the only one to tell you this. Earl, who's actually going to be doing all my body work from Classic Car Creations, fantastic guy, brilliant guy, does some excellent work. He knows exactly what I've done here, and he's posted videos about it. And if you haven't subscribed to him yet, you need to. So head up to duckshit.net/CCC. It will forward you directly to his YouTube channel, and there you should subscribe, and there you should look for the video that has my face on it with a picture of Eleanor as the thumbnail, because he will talk about this car, and he'll also talk about Gregory a little bit. He'll say that this was a car that was not a candidate for restore or even salvage. That this thing was, well, it was a piece of junk. It really was a piece of junk, but I brought Eleanor back from the dead, and I'm really, really happy to have her, and I made her to what I wanted this car to be. So again, I really don't think I should have to explain why I want to make custom hinges on a car that's already custom. But one thing that is going to stay stock, and period, is the door handles. I got asked this twice in the last video. Why would I leave stock door handles? And the reason is because those were correct for 1956, and I want this car to look like it came from the Volkswagen factory in 1956. It's a coach built with a bunch of extra gee-dunks on it, and that's why it looks like a 56, but slightly different. Why does it look slightly different? Well, because it's been widened, it's been chopped, it's got wider wheels on it, it's got a wider suspension. In fact, it has all aluminum suspension and proper vented disc brakes. Stuff that they didn't have in 56. But nonetheless, it is a super sport model that Volkswagen Limited had very, very limited releases of. There was only 4 of them. One belonged to Porsche himself, and the other one was Hitler's. I don't know. He had it down in Brazil, and he was driving the thing around himself. I'll make up some horseshit story, and I'll tell people at shows, and I'm sure it'll make people laugh if they don't already believe it. But yeah, the door handles are going to stay. I'm going to leave those door handles on. I'm going to leave stock headlights, taillights. I'm going to put all the original chrome trim back on this car. I'm going to try to put the chrome bumpers back on this car, but I'm going to make some special bumpers. So they're going to have to be wide enough to match these fenders. A stock bumper on here would just look really stupid. So I'll put a stock bumper on that's been widened. I'll probably have to add about, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 inches in the middle of it to make a bridge all the way across. And in the back, I think this Beetle is 9 inches wider than stock. So I'll probably have to cut about 9 inches out of the middle of the bumper, widen it, and then send it off to be re-chromed. And, well, if I get a good chroming job on it, it'll be a whole lot better than that Chinese crap that's out there nowadays. Or, of course, I could buy some stainless steel bumpers, but those things are, I think it's $1,000 for a set. And I can't bring myself to buying a $1,000 set of bumpers only to cut them. So what I'll do is I'll get a set of originals and modify them and then re-chrome them. That just, to me, makes a whole lot more sense. All right, well, yeah, looking at that. Let's go ahead and step inside the car here and let me show you what's going on. Now, Earl over at Classic Car Creations actually asked a really good question about check straps. And the check strap hook, which normally would connect to right here, I actually had to saw it off to get this hinge in there properly. So that's going away. I'm not going to be using that. These hinges do include, however, a check, well, it's a bumper that screws into the little threaded hole that's over here that you see. I don't know exactly how it works, but somehow it hits the inside of the hinge and it stops the movement of the door any wider. So I'll be taking some stock measurements off of the stock doors and figure out what the exact angle is that it's supposed to open up to, and then we'll play with that. And if nothing works there, then I'll go ahead and put another check strap in a different position. I don't have a problem with that. I don't think there'll be an issue. But nonetheless, that's where we're at, and I like what we've got here. Thank you for the question, Earl. Okay, this is really hard to get a good angle of without a serious glare problem. I don't even know where the sunlight's coming from, but it's bouncing off of something. Anyways, here's the door, of course. This is the inside. This is how it opens. This is the A-pillar. Here's the hinges. Currently, the hinges are caving into the door because I have not welded or even tacked anything into place yet. These pockets that these hinges do sit in will come out probably about ½ an inch, and then I'll cut some of the extra pocket off of there. But what I've done when the door is closed here, I've taken a Sharpie and I've traced along the hinges here where I'm going to need to cut into the door. Now, I have not committed to any of this yet, but while the hinges were exposed on the outside of the car, instead they're going to be exposed or shown just a little bit on the inside of the car. And down below, some of that can be covered up with some carpet and stuff. And up here, geez, if I really want to get nuts, I can put a cover on that. But it'll all be painted the same color as the body. Once you put everything together in this car, you may not even notice it. But it's going to be pretty subtle, and it's going to be inside the car. So on the outside of the car will remain beautiful and streamlined, just as I feel it should have originally been designed. But why did they use the cheap, simple hinges that are on here? Well, I just said it in the description. It's because they are cheap, and they are simple, and they are quick and easy to install. So this is the reason why Volkswagen had those on there. They work. They work, and there's really no better reason other than that. So anyway, this hinge is going to come in here. Yes, there's going to be adjustability to it. You can see where the screw holes here that go into this stuff and how it's held together. So once those screw holes are in there, there'll be a plate on the backside that has nuts welded to it, and these holes will be slotted. And I have the ability to move that door, any which way that I want to, except for in and out. In and out can be adjusted by simply putting a spacer behind the plate itself and moving it back and forth accordingly. I don't think it's going to be an issue as long as I get everything bound up real tight on here. So I'm going to be playing with that a little bit. I've got a lot of different ideas going into that as far as how that's going to work. But yeah, everything's very, very doable. I'm really excited about getting this project together. And well, it looks good. It looks good. So as always, you guys, please like, comment, subscribe, pluck that dingle belly that you see down there next to that subscribe button so that way you get updates every time that I upload a new video. Don't forget to check out duckshit.net so that way you can see all of my different social media links. I've been posting a lot of pictures about this kind of stuff up on Instagram. So if you'd like to see some of the behind the scenes stuff where I'm taking, you know, photos of showing my progress in between video releases, because sometimes it's really hard to get a video up because it takes a lot of time to get it edited, but I can always throw up a quick 10-second video on Instagram or just a bunch of photos. So hit me up on Instagram, give me that follow. It's really important that you do if you really want to see what's going on. So yeah, that's where we're at. It's a damn shame they're falling in the door that I haven't tacked them into place yet, but yep, that's what we're looking at. So anyways, as always, don't forget to licky likey, because I'm the MFDM. That's right, the motherfucking duck, man. Thanks for watching, you guys. Appreciate it. See you next time.